Trump comes in there with the bazooka, right? Like, you know what? You're going to lose everything. You're going to lose all your federal funding. I issued an executive order and I expect you to comply. I love what a fighter he is. Your thoughts on this now reemerging chapter in what's becoming a very old story?
Thank you so much for having me, Megyn. And I have to tell you, my YouTube algorithm knows that when new episodes of With Love, Megyn come out, there is nothing I click faster on this planet than your amazing show with Maureen. I'm sure your listeners and viewers are all watching it as fast as I am, but it is so incredible.
Thank you.
You're just doing amazing things on so many fronts. So thank you for that, for the information, for the joy, and for everything.
You're very welcome.
This is such an important moment because it's not even just with this. I can't remember the last time a president felt this strongly about anything. Right? Forget about the things I care about. Donald Trump has a theory of the case. How to protect and defend this country, the values that it was founded on, the working class, women, gay people. I mean, everybody who's being impacted by the trans insanity. And it gets back to the Democrats' problems with men. I think a lot of people are probably wondering, we know that trans athletes in women's sports is unbelievably unpopular. It's not even an 80-20 issue. I believe the latest numbers are 86% of Americans oppose trans athletes in women's sports. So how do we end up with an entire political party devoted to protecting that? And this is basically what happens when your entire identity and your entire moral system was built for you at a place like Harvard or some other elite institution, where your whole identity is built around the idea that you are better than the average American. You are more virtuous and smarter and more credentialed and more deserving than the working class people who work much harder than you. And if you are a person like that in the top 10%, top 15%, what happens to you when suddenly the average American is no longer racist, but actually wants Dr. King's vision? What happens to you when the average American, including the average Republican, now wants every gay person to live in dignity and wants women to have, the ability to really thrive and shine? What gives you the right to feel like you're better than everybody else? Well, Megyn, they move the goalpost. So that's how you end up with a left that doesn't want Dr. King's vision where everyone is treated equally, but wants to see every white person as inherently racist. That's how you end up in a system, not where the left is pushing for equality for everybody, for gay people included, for women, but a situation in which they want to turn on all those values and say, no, this trans person's rights should outweigh every woman they ever compete against, all of the girls, right? I mean, that's effectively what happened. The left moved the goalpost because the average American was somebody that we could all be proud of. This country finally arrived at the place that the founders wanted it to be, that Dr. King was pushing for. And what Donald Trump did was he realized this. He realized that the platform that the Democrats had used to win for 100 years, which came out of a respect for the average American, a respect for religious people, a respect for labor, a love of the American people rather than a contempt for them and a hatred of them, that platform had been left on the table. And so everything we're seeing now with the Democrats basically floundering is because he sort of kicked them off of the board by simply loving the American people when their entire identity was built around the view that they are better than the average person.
Oh gosh, it's so good. Batya, I love hearing you talk about this issue. I'm going to go with that, but before I do, let me just show this soundbite. This A.B. Hernandez is headed to win states, as Trump points out, and no one's stopping him. And his mother's at every meet cheering him on as though he's a girl, as though he deserves his spot at the top of the podium. Recently, when he won this past weekend, the third place finisher chose not to show up. And by the way, as he barrels towards states and the championships, I don't blame the third place girl for not showing up. You can see for the listening audience, he's on podium number 1. The girl who came in second, who's actually the winner, is on number 2, and number 3 is not on there. Didn't show up, and it doesn't look like, I can't tell whether 4 and 5 are there either, but somebody's written XX over the girl in the number 2 spot, who's really the winner, and XY over Hernandez. And so I don't blame the third place person for not actually posing for the photo, because our listening audience wrote in, because they're very fired up about this too, a lot of Californians saying, if you're third, you don't make it to states. Like, it's 1 and 2 will go. Because of the way that the rules out in California work. But number 3 should be going. But she's not going because a boy's going in her stead and will probably win. And here is, even in California, leftist, woke, progressive California, it's got to be one of, if not the most progressive state in the union. One of the moms out there confronted the mom of A.B. Hernandez, who just is absolutely loving seeing her son steal all of the medals. So take a listen here.
I'm gonna listen. I don't have to. I have a right to speak truth. Boys are boys, girls are girls. This did not belong competing against those girls, period. What a coward of a woman you are allowing that. What a coward telling our woman, telling girls to go and compete against a boy? How embarrassing. How would you're a mother. You're a mother. Stand up like a mother. I am a mother. I'm protecting girls. You want a boy. How many people support the boy competing against the girls? Nobody. No. Don't tell me to shut up. I was respectful to you. Okay. I'm not gonna. No, you're the one. You're the one that did a real mom. No, you're not. You're a coward. Your mental illness is on your son.
I'm sorry, but there's a sea change underway. And it's not just in the numbers that you mentioned. It's reflected in moments like that where on the site, people are feeling, I hate this term, but I'm going to use it, righteous anger over what they're witnessing. There was, this is from March, but you can feel it here too. He did the triple jump as a girl, again, proposing as a girl, and he's crushing them. He's a boy. His wingspan is different. His leg span is different. His ability to jump, his height, all of it is so much different and advantaged versus girls. And just listen to the crowd as he jumps. It's only 10 seconds long, stop 2.
Oh my God.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong, what somebody said. The girls aren't even coming close to him, Batya. Not even close.
It's so hard to watch. And really, God bless you, Megyn, for putting this on the agenda and for getting through to the president. Although I think he does feel this very deeply. What's so funny is someone like me who was, always on the left, a feminist and what have you. I remember after the Me Too movement thinking like, well, we kind of okay, do we really still need feminism at this point? Certainly in the workforce, women seem to have even more power than men because there was this sea change and this culture in which men were certainly very afraid of getting on the wrong side of that movement and the energy that came out of it. And now it's so amazing to see. It's not even just the right, but it's just the average American realizing that there is a threat to women, and it's coming from the left, from these vanity morals that people who have had every advantage and every privilege are now effectively saying to people who have much less than them, sorry, you don't come first. We have another, victim group that we're going to cater to, and they are going to be the people who deserve everything and get everything. And it's just, you hear the pain in that mother's voice who, you could tell the way she's talking. This is not her natural, way of speaking to somebody, addressing somebody, her personality, but she's just so devastated. It is so unfair. And I think, fairness is something that for the American people is extremely important. I think it's why, in a conversation like about Medicaid and work requirements, it's why work requirements for able-bodied men who don't have any dependents, which is, what the bill is sort of pushing to introduce. This is the kind of thing that normal people would say, well, obviously, why is it fair for somebody to just decide they're not going to work? And that fairness principle here is a very unifying one. And once again, the Democratic Party in its entirety pretty much is on the wrong side of 86% of Americans.
Well, and it's so interesting because they're not actually, but they're pretending they are, and they're voting like they are. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the US dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for US dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.